Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ben here at Galactic News Center. Going to be talking about a theory that made so much sense to me as I looked at it, and that I've always really assumed in my own mind was true, and that is that Darth Plagueis, or for the sake of this video, Supreme Leader Snoke, created Anakin Skywalker through the Force. Now, I get it, for the sake of this theory, and for the sake of this video, we're going to assume that Supreme Leader Snoke is in fact Darth Plagueis. I know that's an entirely different debate for another video, but again, for the sake of this video, picture in your mind that Supreme Leader Snoke is in fact Darth Plagueis the Wise. So as we know through the story of Chancellor Palpatine, that Darth Plagueis was able to manipulate the Force in such a way that he could create life. And create life is the exact wording that Palpatine uses in that scene. And at the same time, as he's saying create life, he looks directly into Anakin's eyes as if that part of the story should have some sort of elevated significance for Anakin. We know that from episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that Anakin never had a father, that Shmi Skywalker birthed and raised Anakin without there ever being a father figure in his life. The Jedi knew that this was in accordance with the prophecy of the Chosen One, that a child would in fact be born through the power of the Force with no father. But the prophecy never says how the child will be born through the Force, just that the child will be conceived through the Force. Darth Plagueis, master of Darth Sidious, was enthralled with using his knowledge of the Force to find a way to preserve his life forever. That was his ultimate goal, to maintain his power, to maintain his life forever. And that's the same theory and the same power that Sidious, the Emperor, and Darth Vader were trying to get after the Clone Wars. That was the same power that they were trying to work towards. My theory is that Plagueis miraculously influenced the Force, so much so that somewhere in the galaxy a child with unparalleled Force powers was born. And it doesn't really matter if Plagueis knew where the child was going to be born or not. He probably figured that that strong of a Force presence somewhere in the galaxy could be felt and would eventually be found. Now here's where things get interesting. I think Plagueis told Sidious of his intentions to preserve his life, and the two of them were working together to find a way to live forever. And I think that Sidious was well aware that his master had created a Force being more powerful than both of them somewhere in the galaxy. I don't know what the two had planned for this new child, but if I had to guess, I would say that secretly, Plagueis wanted to take Anakin as his new apprentice when the right time came and kill Sidious, who was growing far too powerful for his liking. Through fate, Chancellor Palpatine is actually introduced to Anakin on Coruscant, and it's very likely that he was able to feel Anakin's immense power, and at that moment he knew that this was the child created through the Force. So instead of telling his master about Anakin, Sidious decided to kill his master, Darth Plagueis, in order so he could be the one to make Anakin his apprentice instead of Darth Plagueis' apprentice. Plagueis, however, survived and fell into the shadows. From here, he watched as the Planet of Forge unfolded exactly as he had foreseen it, except Sidious was the master instead of him. Plagueis, who became the being we know as Supreme Leader Snoke, then watched the Galactic Civil War unfold and the culmination of the Emperor being killed. Snoke then rose from the ashes of the Empire and established the First Order. So that raises the question as to how he was able to take Ben Solo as his apprentice. I think that Snoke felt a presence that he had not felt since Anakin Skywalker in Ben Solo and recognized that maybe he had another shot at his ultimate plan. I think this theory gives so much validation to the story of the prequels, and I know the new movies have been reluctant to even mention of the first three movies, but that would bring all the movies together in an amazing way. It would completely validate the storyline of episode 1, 2, and 3, that Anakin never had a father, that he was the chosen one, but now we know that he's the chosen one for a whole new purpose. The sheer size of this master plan that Plagueis or Snoke hatched so long ago, and to see it finally come to fruition would be absolutely mind-blowing. This is a theory that he had probably before the events of episode 1, and to wait probably 100-something years for it to actually come to fruition is just absolutely mind-blowing. It would be boggling to see. I think it also validates the Chosen One prophecy a lot. People say that just as a cheesy thing that George Lucas did, like how cliche the Chosen One was born through a miraculous birth. But if that happened because the man that would go on to be Supreme Leader Snoke manipulated the Force to create the most powerful Force being to ever exist, who he planned to apprentice, everything makes so much more sense. Remember that the Sith are very conscious about their power. If you think this theory wouldn't work because you don't believe Plagueis would be searching for a new apprentice when he has Sidious, understand that the power cycle of the Sith has been going on for thousands of years. Plagueis knew that if he didn't find an apprentice soon, Sidious would eventually attempt to kill him. And it's clear by the events of episode 1 that Sidious was thinking the same thing because he apprenticed Darth Maul, so he already had plans to assume the mantle of Sith Master. So let me know what you guys think about this theory. I think it would be absolutely genius and so mind-blowing. it would tie all the movies together in such a way that validates everything that we saw in the prequels. It would give the prequels new light. We could watch them in totally different ways. So let me know what you guys think. This has been Galactic News Center. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching, and as always, join me and together we'll rule the galaxy.